Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello, welcome back to the part 2 of Introduction to Branding. And today we'll start with the first case study of Incredible India. And we'll try to understand how branding has been taken into consideration. What are the key major factors they have considered in terms of the concept of implementing the concept of branding. And we'll also go through multiple examples of their steps. What are the steps they have taken to promote the idea of visual branding and branding as a whole. This campaign was launched strategically, which was initiated by Indian Ministry of Tourism to position India as a premier global tourist destination. The campaign was aimed to rebrand the nation's image by highlighting its cultural and natural diversity and attract international and domestic travelers. Over the year, it has become one of the most iconic tourism campaign in the world, successfully branding India as an incredible destination for unique experiences. So we'll go through the different phases, different consideration for branding. And that also includes how visual branding is playing an important role in overall execution. So we'll start it. So initially India was known as, especially in the tourism world, it was known as sleeping giant, and it was what the book by Amitabh Kant, Branding India, highlights. And because of this, the highlight in terms of underperformance in terms of tourism was quite evident at that time. And until 2022, India accounted for just 0.3% of global tourist traffic despite its vast potential. And this was one of the major problems which at that time Ministry of Tourism was trying to address. Next was the tourism border benefit like employment and infrastructure development were overlooked due to its this particular image. So very less investment opportunity was taking place at that time, and because of this again one thing in terms of overall India as a developing nation, right, it was also evolving at that time. If you see the road connection and all, that was not quite addressed by that time, but later on it became more stronger in terms of depicting the overall idea of tourism. So the next point is fragmented branding, and this is very important. Why? Because although India was trying to project themselves as a tourist destination, they were unable to attract many tourists, especially foreign tourists, all over the globe. And this was one of the reasons where India lacked a unified tourism message or positioning. So the overseas offices which were there, they have conflicting themes, such as if you see here, some were depicting India as a spiritual India, some were depicting as unbelievable India, and some were also depicting as cultural India. So there was a disparity in terms of overall cohesive representation. And that was again leading to a bit of confusion what exactly India stands for and why one should visit India. And that was the another point which was highlighted when they were looking how to project India as a tourist destination. So again, the another impact which the Westerners had of India was an outdated imagery, visuals of saffron sadhus or robe tricks, right, which were observed. Again, some of the people again presumed that India was land of snake charmers, right. Those are the things which were projected at that contemporary time, and that was also impacting the overall representation, the brand image of India, which was failing to appeal the contemporary segment of the market. And that was where again they have tried to look into and how to address such kind of representation in a much better way. The overall idea of Incredible India was catering towards that. Yeah, so another segment, if you see at that time when India was also trying to project by bits and pieces, regional competitors' success were happening too. So East Asian destination like Malaysia, which came out with a branding strategy of Truly Asia, right? That campaign launched in 1999, and it was successfully built, emotionally appealing the tourism brands, leading to a significant growth in the tourist arrivals. So parallelly, such kind of things were also happening in the nearby areas of India, and that was also impacting. People were more inclined towards Malaysia and Thailand and all towards to experience more about the idea of tourism. So taking this as an opportunity, India took this step of how to project India in a much better way, where such kind of pointers which we have discussed can be eradicated, and they have strategized very nicely, addressing all the segment and also looking at the potential of each demography, each geography, the culture, the food, the community. Everything was taken into consideration, and definitely it was not easy to execute such kind of larger project. They have went through multiple iterations. Many things were again associated with getting the law right, including law, rules, policies, and all. So it was a very tremendous effort by the government to take this initiative, and also primarily how to convince the locals, right, the people who are from India, and to make sure that they were well prepared in terms of addressing such kind of crowds. And that was a very challenging thing, because India is a diverse land, and every diverse geography has their own way of dealing things, experiencing things, and communicating things. And to talk in a larger language, right, especially in India, it is a very challenging task to do. And considering such kind of complexity, seeing Incredible India today being successfully projected as one of the most successful campaign is a very, I would say, extreme level of achievement which we have achieved at this age. So finally, this is where they all felt there is a need of cohesive branding, like how the image, the personality, which we have discussed, right? The tone of that, the voice of the brand, right? How do you address it? So and because of that, again, this kind of appeal has not been addressed, and this is the first time the idea of India being projected to the Western world in a very contemporary way has been thought about. And definitely the need of cohesive branding was quite observed in a very stronger way. And to do that, they started with the idea of the brand name Incredible India. So initially, since as I told, any brand, before the customer or consumer experience it, it goes as a face of that particular, it needs a face to represent or to create a relationship or create a trust. And that's why identity design comes here, because when you are addressing a brand for the first time, it's the logo, it's the image of that brand you are inclined towards, you are acceptive towards the idea. And then that's why the idea of Incredible India logo came, where the exclamation mark became a point of expression. And this is where the idea of a campaign was adopted in a very strategic way. The campaign adopted Incredible India. If you can see, the I here in India is an inverted I, which is again representing itself as an exclamation. And as the tagline, right, it's like you are surprised to visit in some of the segments, some of the experience you will get when you visit India. And this also, it's a very clever design, I would say, which symbolizes excitement, wonder, and uniqueness. And this phrase of encapsulate India's vastness, actually. So incredible, the word itself is a very beautiful word. And again, this also supports the idea of excitement and all, right? Where the incredible could be found everywhere. So if wherever you go, and you may get surprised with the very uniqueness of that particular space. And this is where the exclamation makes sense, because it's indirectly telling the tourist that you'll be astonished or you'll be surprised wherever you go. Maybe it can be rich with culture, it can be rich with food, right? It can be it can be the space, it can be the geography, it can be the animals, right? It can be the traditions which are associated to India. This all can surprise you. That's the way how they wanted to project, and you are welcome to experience that surprise. Okay, that's why the word incredible India has been projected. It's not something spiritual India, right? They are projecting the idea not in a one dimension, which was earlier you can see it was mentioning that spiritual India. Again, spiritual is just a small part. There are many things which are associated to India. And this is where the concept of incredible India came into play. And this is a very clever and a very clean and simple way of depicting this overall representation. That's why it became more successful, because one word till date at this age where we have already been successful, still people mention the word India when they like the word incredible India a lot when they describe some of the interesting beautiful part or exposure to the idea of Indian culture and all. So as I said, the exclamation mark became one of the most dominating representation of the overall brand language. Again, this is the voice of the particular brand. Okay, and then the tone will change now. Okay, so this again highlights the overall diversity, right? The campaign focus primarily, if you see, so with that idea, how they are projecting the overall the impact of such kind of campaign. So they have projected the overall incredible India towards our cultural heritage, right? Then the overall spiritual experiences, since we are quite rich with that, we are rich with cultural heritage, we are rich with spiritual experiences, we are rich with adventures, because India is a diverse geography. There are plains, there are rivers, there are deserts, right? There are mountains. So it's a very diverse geography, and taking benefit of that is also another opportunity for the tourists to take into consideration. And that's why the idea of adventures has been projected in the name of branding. Similarly, natural beauty, right? The places, the space, right? Where you can see the heritage sites, everything are part of it. Then again, majorly to highlight the concept of modern India, right? So if you consider the modern India, like urban centers, Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, these are again as emerging hubs, right, at that time. And again, how do they project, how do you show those kind of technological advancements, infrastructure development in India, which will again dilute the Western perspective of India, which we are discussing about how they perceive India at that time, right? So with all these major key points, the overall campaign was designed to address and attract such kind of key points, such that it touches the overall and it changes the perception of the tourist when they come in India. Okay, so this is the campaign which they have run. Again, this is associated to visual branding. So how visual plays an important role in terms of branding. So if you see, this is the reflection of Taj Mahal in water, right? And suddenly you can see the minaret here again extended to the moon, right? And this becomes the exclamation mark of the overall representing India. And there the overall voice, as we have talked about voice and tone, right? So overall voice of the brand has maintained. Okay, and this is where you can see how the representation makes sense with the richness of the heritage, right? Richness of the history and the existence of such kind of places. Again, this is the Himalayas. Again, the shadow which is observed here again becomes the part of the exclamation. And this is very carefully crafted such that it speaks the same voice of the particular brand, that we are actually incredible in our space, right? Come to explore our space and experience our culture, right? So again, this Bengal tiger, you can see here how the exclamation again becomes the part of the tiger's stripe, right? Same yoga, since we are rich with the history of yoga, and we have been practicing it for multiple generations. We have many manuscripts talking about yoga, and because of such kind of richness, the heritage, again, yoga plays an important role. And today, if you see, yoga is practiced all over the globe, and we celebrate Yoga Day, which is an official yoga day, which is again experienced and celebrated all over the world. Yeah, so again, in terms of meditation, spiritual connection, how India was projected, right? And you can see how the visuals again are catalyzing the idea, right? It's enhancing the idea of the overall intent of such kind of representation. Yeah, so again, see, now see, here till here it was more about descriptive representation. Here again, suddenly it becomes one quote wise representation. So now the tone is changing. The voice is similar, but the tone is changing. Okay, and here the quote is addressed in terms of a step-by-step guide to salvation. Again, this talks about the overall the representation of the heritage structure, right? And you can see how the the code of that particular compositions are again speaking a volume in terms of depicting the rich past and the history of India. Similarly, and this is a very witty quote where you can see it is showing Taj Mahal, and in that quote it shows that and to think these days men get away with giving flowers and chocolate to their wives, right? So indirectly it's talking about Shah Jahan, who have built Taj Mahal, right, for Mumtaz, and this is where the idea of love is being projected in a such beautiful way, and that has been wittily depicted using quotes. Okay. So yes, so now since India is trying to project themselves as a rich, diverse place, like with beautiful heritage, beautiful culture, right, on natural habitat, everything, right. So with that again, India is somewhere or the other at that time in 2027. This campaign was run in Berlin, and you can see how the transport system were taken into consideration, because most of the transportation plays an important way to project or to promote the idea of any kind of campaign. And with that, how India took that initiative to project themselves in most of the tourist or most of the transport vehicles. And you can see how this creates an impact in the overall perception. Somewhere or the other, again, the sense of awareness is being prevailed, and people are getting to know about India at that time in 2027. Oh, sorry, 2007. So similar way in terms of depicting India, again, this is in London, and you can see how they're taking the reference of the existing London spaces, and they're reversing it to the Indian representation. So Oxford Circus, again, you can see Arsenal depicting, right? Again, towards the names are similar, but the contexts are totally Indian centric, and that also triggers. So this is a very interesting visual, I would say, branding strategy, where they are trying to trigger the audience of London, and they are making them think about India, how India feels like, and what are the scenarios in India in a very witty way. Next, again, these are some of the transportation vehicles, and where they have talked about the Indian existence of India as a tourism destination. And you can see how the names associated to India, like Ayurveda, Himalayas, right, Bollywood, which are purely infused in the Indian culture, and those were highlighted in the overall depiction as a marketing campaign. So now, interestingly, there was another campaign in 2007 to 2008, which depicts purely about Indian colors, and you can see how the colors are depicted with this bold stencil typeface, right? And you can see how the colors are projected in different segments, considering the context where it was clicked, right? So again, hot, again, red hot associated to spice, right? Since India is a good producer of spice. Similarly, tea green, right? Again, India is famous for exporting tea, right? Again, with that, the association of tea green came into play. Similarly, flaming orange, coffee brown, pure gold. Again, these are coming from the heritage, from the culture, from the environment which are associated to India. And based on that, they are creating a sense of color, a new set of color names which are associated to purely Indian representation. And finally, they have concluded the overall colors in a set of palette, and you can see all the names associated to that color palette are Indian centric. And this is where, again, this is a very beautiful strategy how to project the sense of color, right? With that particular space in a very beautiful way, showcasing the heritage, showcasing the space, showcasing the overall infrastructure in that particular time. So now, since India is trying to project themselves, right, trying to project themselves to the global market, and with that, definitely they need a specific website, right? And website at the time, right, was already being most of the industries were trying to use website as a part of communication. And if you see how India took that advantage and created their own website in the name of tourism, which is incredibleindia.org, and this website was purely catered to showcase India, and there are multiple segments which talks about Indian culture, places to visit, when to visit, what are the things associated in that particular geography, right? Why India is why India is famous for, what are the things you can do when you come to India. You can plan your trip accordingly. You can talk with the tourism department, right? So under Incredible India org, it created a channelization of all the segments, all the geography of India, and it was requested that wherever the Incredible India this campaign has been run, all the states, right, they are going under the under this brand umbrella, incredibleindia.org, right? And all the informations about that geography are being nicely captured, and it was projected in this website such that people can plan accordingly. They have a better understanding of where they are coming, right, and what are the things they are going to experience during their stay. So since we are inviting, we are creating network, right, we are promoting ourselves, it's very, very important for us to get prepared, because we are inviting guests, and at that time the situation was quite bad. People were not aware about how to deal tourists, right, and how to respect tourists, how to respect our heritage sites. So if I can recall, in the early time when we used to visit, there are many monuments, very rich monuments, where there are names of people engraved on that. So such kind of mentality where there it was prevailing, and to make them mature about such kind of thing, to make them aware that these things are very much important, the Incredible India came up with the concept of a campaign specifically for Indians. And that is very, very a major step, if you can see that, where the context is now shifting towards the Indian audience. And this is very, very important, because we are calling outsiders, right, as the tourists. And if you are not prepared, again, that will hamper the overall brand image you are trying to create, like visually, so which we have discussed, right? So it's not the branding is not about just making visuals or making logos. It's about the overall experience which we are talking about. So finally, a logo can help you to buy that, but if after buying, right, I'm not satisfied with the product, it will disappear, the brand value will disappear. So this is a very important step which the Incredible India took at that time, where to make our Indian people aware about tourists, how to address them, how to approach them. So with that campaign, they came with the idea of Atiti Devo Bhava, which again in English it means the guest is equivalent to God. And this promoted primarily, it focused on vandalism and littering. So India at that time was dealing with such kind of things, where in terms of heritage sites, most of the heritage sites are vandalized by engraving their own names at that time, right? people who comes, the local who comes doesn't care about it. They don't have any sense of pride with that particular space. Alongside educational effort targeting the taxi drivers, so because taxi drivers again are unaware how they approach the tourists, right? They were primarily approaching how they approach the Indians, which is totally a cultural shift for the tourists when they come for the first time. So how to approach them, how to approach a guide, right? And what are the service providers who are there? So those kind of powerful promotion messages were created in the name of this campaign of Atiti Devo Bhava, where there are people associated to that. Film stars like Amir Khan, Shah Rukh Khan were taken into consideration, which helped the overall promotion to be successful. So the overall campaign was rooted in Indian ethos of treating guests as a divine, aim to transform attitudes and behavior towards the foreign tourists. And this initiative utilized, as I said, the Bollywood icons like Amir Khan, Shah Rukh Khan to deliver powerful message against vandalism. And this is where and this was done by proper training, certification, PR roadshows, and mass media campaign. And the program emphasized on hygiene, politeness, integrity, and safety. And by training around 78,000 stakeholders across the major cities in 2 phases, it fosters social awareness of tourism's economic benefit and also enhance Indian image as a welcoming destination, promoting sustainable tourism development. And people before that were unaware that whether they can take the benefit of tourists as a source of income for them, right? Even those things were talked about, and make them aware that because if they come, it's your benefit. You are getting the benefit of your craft, right? You can sell your craft, you can sell your products to them, such that there is a good cycle of trade happening in that way. So this is one of the small clip. You can see how Amir Khan was taken into consideration, showcasing how to treat tourists, and you can see how in the last scene you can see how inspector was appreciating the effort, right? Where a rickshawala was not behaving properly with a tourist, and he came and he made aware about what to do, what not to do. And this you can find it in the YouTube. There are multiple videos associated with Incredible India campaign, specifically towards the campaign of Atiti Deva Baba. And definitely this made a huge impact on the overall representation, and most of the people took the benefit out of it, and they groomed themselves and they learned a lot with such kind of campaign, and it was quite impactful in that way. So now, since we are into this overall explorations of how the branding happened in Incredible India, right, under the campaign of Incredible India, we'll see how it has impacted. So we'll see how the impact of Incredible India campaign affected the overall India revenue generation. So the first thing we will look into is how Incredible India campaign was launched in 2022, and there was a significant transform India in the landscape of tourism, and it has enhanced the global image, and it has attracted large number of foreign visitors considering to that time. And if you see increase in foreign tourist arrival, which is also known as FTAs, so you can see initially it started with 2.38 million, right, in 2002, and you can see a very strong jump by 2013, and it was 6.97 million, which is very approximately, it's a huge leap in a very substantial period of time. And how such kind of things happen is the primary thing which we have discussed, like how proper steps were taken in each of the segment in terms of heritage preservation, in terms of culture showcase, in terms of space, in terms of the spiritual connections, right, spiritual promotion, yoga, the food, everything was considered. And this is where a carefully crafted campaign or branding can impact the overall organization or a country or an individual. Okay. So next is the growth in foreign exchange. So if you see foreign exchange earning, which is also known as FEE. So if you see the initial corresponding with the rise of FTAs, India's FEE from tourism also show a significant growth. So in 2002, the fee was about 15,064 and 64 crore rupees, right? By 2013, it has escalated to 1 lakh 76,071 crore, and that's a huge leap, right? In that if you consider the overall economy. Okay, and that purely happened because of the proper strategy which Incredible India has adopted, and that has impacted the overall revenue generation. So again, it enhanced the local and global perception, and I have purposely highlighted the local here. Why? Because it was much needed, because people were not aware how the idea of tourism industry can benefit them, right? And how do you approach tourists, and how do you create a brand image? The brand image is very, very important, and that's purely associated with community here. If you consider any kind of country tourism or state tourism, right? So the purely it's the community which you have to target, and you have to make them aware that it feels like we are well aware and we are well prepared. And that's why, because of the enhanced local implications, the idea of global perception also changed. And the campaign successfully rebranded India as a diverse and a vibrant destination, moving away from the outdated stereotypes which was impacting that. And this rebranding played a crucial role in attracting tourists seeking unique cultural experience and natural experience across the geography. So the next point is the recognition and award. Again, this is where Incredible India excelled a lot. So you can see how there are multiple awards they have won because of such beautiful campaign. So PATA Grand Award, the best destination marketing campaign in worldwide, it has received in 2007, and Condé Nast Travel UK Readers Award, it goes world's #1 preferred holiday destination. And World Travel Award in 2026 or 2006, you can see Incredible India Best Destination Market Campaign, Rural Tourism Most Responsible Tourism Project, Incredible India TV Commercial Best TV Commercial Incredible India Best MICE Destination, right? And there are further many more by Lonely Planet, Travel Plus Leisure, right? Association of British Travel Agency. Again, Gold Award they have won by PATA in 2005, right? So these are the things which they have achieved as a whole, and that's the impact of good branding. And by now you know how the branding works, right? It's not just about logo. Okay, so logo is important, as I said, but it's not always about the logo. So it's about the overall system. How you are planning it is very, very important in a good branding. And there are multiple sectors. It's the marketing comes, the overall strategy comes, how your product is placed, right? Product positioning is important, the community is important, right? And the overall environment, right? Whether they are prepared for that such kind of projection or not, right? The quality, that means indirectly what I'm trying to say is the quality of the overall projection is very, very important, be it a country, be it a state or a city, right? How the overall infrastructure has been taken into consideration to do a seamless representation. Next come, if you are also considering any kind of product, right? So how the product is good enough, is it user friendly, right? Does it make sense to use it for me, right? So those things also come into play. All the things like logo, colors, marketing campaign posters, videos, those are all visual branding. but those are equally important to project the idea, to create a face, right, to create a voice, to create a tone. Such kind of things are equally important for branding. But always keep this in your mind, branding is overall perception. It's not just one thing. You have to consider everything associated to that brand. And finally, if you are able to achieve a good perception, a good impression on your consumers, you are successful. And that is very much dynamic in nature. Today, you may feel the customer is quite satisfied, but if you are not consistent, definitely that perception will change with time. And that's why as a brand, you have to always strive for better services, better output, better product, right? And something which also impacts in a very emotional level, you have to also consider that too. So with this, we'll conclude the overall impact. So it was launched in 2002, and the Incredible India campaign significantly boosted the tourism to India, increasing both domestic and international arrivals. It helped to establish India as a top global destination, highlighting its cultural heritage, diverse landscape, and spiritual appeal. The campaign contributed to economic growth by creating jobs and attracting investment in tourism infrastructure. It also fostered cultural and awareness and also earned international recognition, positioning India as the key player in global tourism market. So overall, if we see, it reshaped India's global image and it promoted its rich diversity to the world. And that happened with a careful crafting of both visual branding and marketing and strategies associated to promoting India by developing infrastructure, by developing the services, by uplifting the community. So everything together create the idea of Incredible India. And that was quite, and you can see the evidence till now, and India has been successful in projecting such kind of things till date. With this, we'll end this case study. We'll continue with another case study in the upcoming video. So we are here in the second segment of the case study. So we will see how this brand, Patagonia, has impacted the overall environment and how it has been able to retain their brand philosophy in this present scenario. So we'll go into the details here. So if you can see this slide, this slide shows their website where they are selling their outdoor apparels. And Patagonia primarily is an outdoor apparel company. It was founded in 1973 by Vion Chouinard, and it's a prime example of a brand that has successfully carved out a unique identity in the competitive world of fashion and outdoor gear. So known for its commitment to environment and sustainability and ethical business practices, Patagonia's branding and visual branding strategies are intricately tied to its mission and values, making it a leader not in the world of product innovation but also a brand loyalty and consumer trust. So as I said, Patagonia is associated to outdoor apparel companies, but again, these are some of the interesting things which you will also observe when you go to their website. And the primary thing is like how they're committed to the environment, primarily the concept of sustainable practices. And you can see when you go to their website, this is the thing which they proudly showcase, and this is about how they are committed to in terms of the idea of the environment, right? And it says Earth is now our only shareholder, and it's a very strong line again said by the founder Vion. And it says that if you have any hope of a thriving planet, much less a business, it is going to take all of us doing what we can with the resources we have. And this is what we can do, and this is the philosophy which they are trying to attain in this particular using this particular brand, like how the overall idea of the brand can impact the society, the environmental, right? And this is where again they take very strong initiative in terms of building such kind of perception towards their consumers. And it's not just about projecting it, but actually they are building they have multiple segments which they initiate, right? The idea of saving the planet, right? How it's more sustainable, using less resources to produce their product. So the core of Patagonia's branding is associated at the heart of its commitment towards environmental and societal responsibility. And the company's mission is to build something which products are not impacting the environment, so which they proudly highlight. So if you see here, right, we have discussed about brand voice and brand tone. So here if you see, the brand voice is purely about talking about how the business is helping the environment like save, right? And you can see this is where they proudly showcase in the website that they guarantee everything they make, and that means the product is quite good. They are looking for the finest product in terms of manufacturing. And also primarily again they are highlighting, saying that we take responsibility for the impact. Definitely it's a large scale industry, somewhere or the other they are creating some kind of impact to the environment, primarily in the negative way, but again to fix that they are taking proper responsibility, and they are taking multiple steps that the overall production, right, or overall process is more sustainable towards the environment, making them like primarily focus on the environment rather than the needs of the user. And this is where the brand disassociates with the other competitors, because primarily if you see, most of the competitors are focused in capitalism, right, consumerism, mass productions and all. But on the other hand, they take very minimal steps to conserve or to look into the impact which they are generating. And Patagonia is totally different in that way. In fact, they are also known as like proper activists, like industrial activists brand. Like they also here they proudly mention, we support grassroots activism. That means they support things where the local or the people are highlighting if something is happening to the environment because of XYZ industries. And we keep your gear going. Again, this is another way like how the idea of recycling things is going on. Basically, if you buy something from them, and if you have any issues while wearing it, if there is something which happened while you are using it, if it's torn, if it's broken, they will make sure they will fix it in a lower price, such that you can use the same product for a longer duration. And we give our profit to the planet, and this is very, very important. And you can see how they are committed towards their brand voice, and they're very much adamant towards achieving those things. And we give our profits to the planet is like giving back to the environment, right? Taking care of the environment, making sure your products are not hampering the environment in a large scale. And this is how you can see how Patagonia is totally different comparatively to any other large scale manufacturing apparel companies. And this is why Patagonia has become one of the most recognized brand in terms of their vision and how they have impacted the buyers also. It's a now most of the products from Patagonia are being very much highly appreciated by the consumers who are following this particular brand. So again, the key elements of Patagonia's branding is again the one which we are going to look into, and you can see how the idea of the branding has impacted the overall environment, right? And we'll see into that. The first thing is sustainability as a brand value. So Patagonia has pioneered sustainability in the apparel industry by using recycled and organic material. This is what I was talking about previously, like how they recycle the product. advocating for the fair trade of practices and funding grassroots environmental campaign. And by aligning its product and operations with these principles, Patagonia reinforces its position as a purpose-driven brand. And as I said, they are quite strongly adamant towards their vision, right? And they are trying to create such kind of environment, and also showcasing the buyers that you have to be very much conscious when you buy any kind of products, and make sure it's thoughtfully, the decisions are thoughtful, right? And you are buying the product for a longer duration, not for a shorter duration. Second is activism and advocacy. So this is again another thing which Patagonia takes bold stance on environmental issues, often running campaigns to protect public lands. So see, typically this is totally contrast if you consider any other large scale industry, right? But they in fact support the campaign which is run by the public to protect the lands, right, to reduce carbon emissions and to combat fast fashion. So fast fashion is also harming a lot in the present scenario. If you see people buy very like fast fashion products which doesn't last for a longer duration, and they are totally against that because that leads to large scale consumerism, and that will impact the overall society in terms of generating large amount of energy, right, increasing large amount of waste. And this is where they are against. They are proudly like supporting the people who are highlighting those things. And the company also uses its platform to amplify messages about climate change, conservation and ethical business practices. And this is where again they keep their stance very strongly. The idea of ethical business practices is very less observed in most of the industries, but they are purely about that, giving you the right product, giving you the highest quality of the product, making sure the product is recyclable, right, and making sure you can also donate the product and some others can use it if fixed by the by their organization, right, which is strengthen its brand identity as a agent of change. Okay. So next is customer centric approach, and again Patagonia creates a sense of community through this program. As I said, people who support the environmental, they will definitely support this brand because this brand primarily highlights those factors in terms of conserving the environment. And through this program like Worn Wear initiative, right, I will show you those examples in this, where people buy it and if you're not using it, you can give it back, and the overall you will get some token amount, right, and which you can utilize it to buy any other new gears when you need. And this encourages the customer to repair, reuse and recycle the gear, and this is a very major thing. You will never find this in any other apparel company, where you are recycling, you are repairing and you are reusing within that company's initiative. Okay, and this not only extend the product's life cycle but also build a trust and loyalty by providing Patagonia's dedication to its values. And this is how they are quite, as I said, they are quite adamant. But again, being adamant doesn't help, right? You have to also work for that. And this is how they are working, like the cycle which they are trying to address. It's like repair, reuse and recycle is the primary goal here. So if you are buying a product of Patagonia, definitely you can repair that, right, you can reuse that, or you can recycle it, so you can give it and some other can use it, some other people can buy that particular product. And when the repairing happens, it's purely industry based repairing. It's not like they're just fixing a small part. They will make sure it looks like new when they repair. And this is why people can buy the second hand products, right, which we say thrift, right? So this kind of structure definitely enables any kind of users to use the product for a longer distance. And even if he or she is not interested in using the product can be given back and some other can use it, and based on it you are getting some kind of award, like in terms of token, such that you can utilize it for a newer product. So as I said, the one which we have highlighted, so this is the screenshot of Patagonia's website, where they have a section named activism. It's interesting to see that, right? Most of the apparel brand companies will never highlight such kind of keywords in their website, but here they directly shows a section which shows activism, and it highlights all the activism stories which are associated to large scale industry production, which is hampering the community or the environment, where the people are rebelling about how those things are happening. And here Patagonia itself is coming and highlighting those things where it's happening all over the world. And this is a very interesting take where people itself feel that they are contributed and they are supported by the same manufacturing, right? It's apparel manufacturing, but the whole idea and the vision is totally different compared to the other. And again, there are some other sections. So if you see in this website, there is another section where the Patagonia action works. That means you yourself can take part in such kind of initiative. Okay, it's not just about telling the story, but they're also giving you a platform to make it change. And you can see protect our ocean is one of the segment which is going on, right? And sign the petition. So they are generating petition for the public to create or to make awareness about it, such that there is a change in that. There's a second segment like save wild rivers. So it was talking about rivers which are like blocked, right, which are getting filled because of the mass industry involvement towards that, right? And it clearly highlights save wild rivers, and there's a button like act now. That means if you are very much concerned about it, you can take part in that initiative, and you can create a larger impact together, right, as a community. So the idea of Patagonia is very strongly community driven, and they know what they are doing is for the goodness of the society, for the well-being of humanity, for the well-being of the environment. And this is where most of the people who are actually believe in such doing these noble causes, right, they will definitely be part of such kind of community. And they gradually nowadays, because of Patagonia's involvement in such thing, many people are getting involved in this community, not as a buyer but as a change maker. And this is a very, very important thing, where a brand is allowing to make you taking the initiative, giving you the platform to change the environment, right? And they are solely taking the benefit of the money which we are giving, right, to make the product. Apart from that, they are also utilizing that kind of profit to utilize to save the environment. And this is a very rare structure where you will see such kind of representation. And because of this, now they are being highlighted all over the globe, and people are addressing it in a very positive way. People are even buying, even though some people are rejecting the idea of this environmental friendliness, but they are still using the product because they want to showcase themselves to getting involved in such kind of ideas, right, or philosophy. So this is a very interesting case where you can see they have clearly highlighted. So this was actually a campaign under Patagonia where they have clearly mentioned don't buy this jacket. Okay, can you imagine an apparel company showcasing that don't buy this shirt, don't buy this pant or jacket, whatever it is. But they are the one who were highlighting it directly, and this has become one of the most iconic example of bold value driven marketing. Okay, so somewhere the other they are feeling because of the large demand of such kind of product, it's somewhere or the other it's impacting the overall industry, right? Even from their side, it's getting very difficult to produce a good quality product if the demand is very high. And that's why they came up with this iconic representation of not buying it, and it was launched during Black Friday in 2011. So Black Friday, most people in US, they celebrate it in terms of buying goods in a large number because there are many offers happening in Black Fridays, right? And the campaign features a full page ad in the New York Times, which had a don't buy this jacket, and paired with an image of Patagonia's jacket. At first glance, it seems very counterintuitive, but the message was perfectly encapsulated, and Patagonia's commitment to environmental sustainability and mindful consumption. So the campaign's purpose was to create some kind of Patagonia's Border Common Threads initiative, which was to encourage consumers to reduce waste. And this reduce waste is happening basically to highlight reusing the items instead of buying the new ones. And that was the goal. They came up with this idea of don't buy this jacket. So basically, again, talking about repairing the product, which we have talked previously, right? How to repair things, how to recycle those things, right? And also reducing consumption of making mindful purchase decision, which I was talking about previously again, right? And this is where their philosophy inclined towards their promotion. Like, they are not promoting any kind of product, but they are asking not to buy to extent that it's going over, right? The consumption is going over than what you can consume. And the goal was not to dissuade the people from buying the Patagonia's product, right, outright, but to encourage conscious consumerism, so which we are failing at this age. So there are, because of the fast trends, right, fast fashion trends, there's a huge amount of consumerism happening. Okay, so as we are talking about the idea of worn wear, right, by Patagonia's initiative, and you can see within that website again the idea of like recycling those materials, right, and you can give it to the idea to give it back to the community by recycling the overlay. So you can buy second-hand products which were utilized by other users, and now you can use it. So as I said, this is all within the websites. So there are different segment, right? And within that segment, you can go and do or buy things which are associated towards your need. So later on, also now recently they have also extended their brand towards healthy lifestyle, and for healthy lifestyle they have chosen the idea of projecting food as their part of their brand extension. And you can clearly see here how they are coming up with different products which are associated to food, right, packaging in terms of water, right, and there are different cups which are associated to that. So accessories for your daily lifestyle, so they are also focusing on that, and this is where you can see the product being highlighted in that way. So this is where the idea of Patagonia is about. Now we will try to understand how the visual branding is also helping them to navigate with such kind of representation. So this is the primary logo of Patagonia, but again you can see the Patagonia logo is a silhouette of Mount Fitzroy, a striking mountain located in the border between Argentina and Chile, and in the southern Patagonian region. Okay, and this mountain is also called Cerro Fitzroy or Cerro Clatin, and a symbol of rugged natural beauty, and represents the adventurous outdoor spirit that is central to Patagonia's brand identity. So basically, the idea of adventure is always projected in Patagonia's brand, and that's why you can see all outdoor apparels being sold in that particular way. And you can see there are multiple variations of that logo, and this logo varies based on the platform which they are trying to print. And typically if you choose apparel, this is the segment which you will mostly observe, but now in the website you can see this, and there are different products which they have used this kind of variations of the logo. So again, while you are designing any kind of logo, and I'm now talking from the perspective of design, especially logo design, you can also take a call how your brand representation can vary based on different scenarios. But yeah, you will have one like the main representation which will be primarily used in major references. But yeah, based on the product you might also change or like create a other version of such kind of logos which will make sense on that particular scenario. So if you see the idea of the logo, right, so you can see the idea of symbolism of Patagonia's logo, right, it's connected to nature. So since it's in the background you can see the mountain, right, again it symbolizes the pristine and the untamed wilderness that Patagonia seeks to protect through sustainable representation. And again, there is a connection to adventure, right? So you can see how the product was made to address adventure equipments and apparels associated to that, right? And then again, regional heritage. The mountain is a hallmark for Patagonian region, and after which the company is named. Okay, and it serves as a reminder of the company's origin and enduring connection to the outdoors. Next is simplicity and timelessness. So the minimal design, you can see how the overall design is getting minimal. Even in the website, it's very much minimal. Again, because of the platform, the logo is changing, and this is what we will discuss in the upcoming session, how the logo can be functional in nature. So the simplicity and timelessness is what we are discussing here. The minimal design of the logo with its clean line, right, and recognizable silhouette, right, if you see the mountains and all, it's very much functional in nature. Okay, and there is no unnecessary elements which is associated to it, and which resonates the brand very in a very with the brand ethos. And if you see the color palette, again, it's very much vibrant colors. You can see blue, purple, orange, right, bright orange and black as a part of the representation along with the white. And this again is getting simplified. If you see the website, they use just a black logo, and they are removing the unnecessary colors which are associated to that. And this is where the brand is again becoming conscious in terms of representing the brand in a larger scale, and they know how they want to project it in a better way. Again, this is what we are talking about, color, right? Now if you see the brand extension, again, they have a very earthy ocean representation. So again, you can see how the colors are very much closer towards earthy representation, ocean kind of representation, watery kind of representation, right? And these are some of the products which they have created in the name of like their brand extension. And you can see how the packaging, the elements are associated to that, right? How the brand name is highlighted in the overall representation, and how it has created meaning in a much better way. Yeah, so these are some of the again like packaging design which they have taken into consideration. Again, the brand colors are again coming from the main color palette, and this is where there are different hues or shades or tints, right, to associated with the representation. So if we go with the recap, so Patagonia's success is a testament to the power of integrated branding and visual storytelling. And by aligning its mission, values, and visual identity, the company has created a brand that not only sells product but also build a community of like-minded individuals. And for businesses seeking to emulate Patagonia's approach, the takeaway is clear. Its authenticity, consistency, and the commitment to higher values that can turn a brand into a movement. And this is a very powerful way how a brand can navigate the consumers towards a right direction. They are also making the overall idea of the brand to be more conscious. Like if you're buying something, right, you have to be very much conscious about that, how it can impact the environment. So with this, we are in the last phase of the session, where we will also now try to compile. So we have went through 2 case studies. We have also understand the idea of branding India, right? How India was branded in the name of Incredible India campaign, and we have also taken this Patagonia case, which is totally contrasting in nature, and these are both different segments, right? And apart from that, we have also tried to understand what is the definition of branding. So we'll look briefly how the importance of branding can be addressed, right? And branding is like if you see is very much essential, because it shapes how people perceive, relate, and interact with a company, product, or a service. And this definition beautifully illustrate what we have discussed in the past 2 case studies, right? How people perceive it, how people relate it, and how people are actually interacting with the product. So this is where again the idea of branding comes, and effective branding goes beyond the logo and slogan. And this is also what we have discussed. It's not about designing a logo. Yes, logo can help you, right, to project. The advertise can help you to trigger, right? But again, it's the services, it's the overall perception, it's the overall experience you are trying to give, right? And that will impact in an emotional level, psychological connection, right? And this will also trigger you to create brand trust and loyalty and recognition. So now we will also look phase by phase how branding created its importance, right? Why it's important in nature, right? So the first point is building recognition and trust. Yes, so through branding you will also create some kind of perception, as we have talked about, and how it creates the impression on you, right? So based on the overall better experience, you will the idea of recognition and trust will come in handy. The next is emotional connection with customers, and this is again very very important for a brand to understand how they are projecting themselves, what kind of service they are providing, right? And how emotionally your consumers are getting affected, right? And this happens through multiple ways. Maybe it can be the service, right? What you are trying to address, the quality what you are giving, right? And the vision, like how you are trying to address. The one example is Patagonia, where they have their own community which tries to connect and communicate with them, right? Support marketing and advertising effort. So this is also important, how branding, if done properly, it automatically supports the way how you are trying to project. And somewhere the other, the effort of advertising is too costly, right? You have to think and you have to rework on the idea how to project the brand. And if thought properly, if the overall brand value is thought properly, how the brand has to be projected or positions, this can also come up with very fruitful output which will impact the overall brand in a much better way, where the consumers can understand what they are trying to perceive, and based on that they choose or decide the product to utilize or to get experience about it. So drives customer loyalty. Again, if the product is not good, definitely you will lose your consumers. If the services are not good, you will lose your consumers, right? And this is where the idea of the overall branding also plays an important role. If you are projecting the brand in XYZ manner, and if the intent is to provide XYZ services, and if you are unable to comply with such kind of services, definitely the idea of customer loyalty will get diffused, because this is what the customers were coming to you in terms of expectation, and suddenly the product is not living up to that expectation, then that definitely the idea of loyalty will go away. Adds value to products and services. Again, this is very very important, how your products will automatically, your projection will automatically creates value. So if you're branding it in a right way, definitely if the product is good, I will have a much a better perception about that product, and I will be a proud user of using such kind of product, because you have marketed it nicely, you have projected it nicely, and when I am using the project using the product, somewhere or the other I am also associating with that feeling which you are trying to project, and that will create a strong relationship with the product, a sense of pride on using such kind of product. Okay, so creates a competitive advantage. Again, this is a very interesting way to look in the idea of branding, because somewhere or the other, because your product is good enough, right, and there are maybe multiple competitors associated in that market, right? Since your product is good enough, I will always have a better recall, right? I will go and utilize your product before using any other product. Okay, so defines purpose and values. We'll again go back to the case studies of Incredible India, how the idea of branding has defined and redefined the purpose of the representation of India. It also had made aware the community about how they should brand themselves, right, as a community, as an organization, and how it created the impact or in terms of values, right? People were more proud to showcase their culture, their community. They know how to present them and what are the things they want to highlight to the outside world. Similarly, in the same case of Patagonia, again the idea of sustainable living, right, like conscious buying, right, those things are primarily the values of that particular brand. and people who are associating with the idea of that are also getting aware of that purpose, and they also redefining themselves to address the overall mission of that particular brand. So long-term business growth, yes. So if your consumers are quite satisfied and they have already built a relationship with your product, definitely it also open your doors in terms of long-term business growth. So definitely you have a better opportunity to extend the business for a longer duration, because you have many consumers who can relate, right? Honest consumers who can relate with your vision, right? And they will promote your product directly or indirectly, because they are quite satisfied with that services, right? Somewhere or the other they will also refer it to their colleagues, right? Their parents, their friends, right? And that will definitely increase the overall business growth in a longer duration. So with this, we have came to the end of this session, and before ending it, again I would like to highlight, branding is more than just aesthetic. It's the essence of what company represent. A well thought out branding strategies helps to build relationships, inspire trust, and it establishes a unique identity in the minds of consumers. In this first-paced competitive world, branding is an indispensable tool for creating a lasting value and achieving success. So with this, I thank you for your time. I hope all of you have got some idea about the concept of branding and visual branding, and why these are important, and why the industries or organizations are trying to utilize the concept of branding, right, to the consumers. In the next session, we'll talk about visual branding. We'll look into the details of how visual branding has been utilized by most of the company, how visual tools are taken into consideration to project any ideas, right? Till then, goodbye and have a nice day.